between what the shrubs bring and add to your piece. So here's one with shrubs and rock. Here's one without. There's a distinct difference, and I think most people will probably find this a little more appealing. And I think once I get a few on here, it doesn't need to be overwhelmed with shrubs, but once you get a few on there, I think it'll break up the monotony of the hill and really make it come to life. It's really going to make it pop. I mean, there's a huge difference already between this and this. I think you would agree. This one obviously looks much better. This one doesn't have any grass on it. But, I mean, this was only a few minutes. I put down a very thick layer of glue, almost 100% glue, a little bit of water to get some flow so it goes into the grass mat edges. And then just layer upon layer, drop some hairspray, put a little more down, hairspray. I'll probably just give it a clear coat at the end. Not to ramble, but I remember talking about with the grass mats to sort of have the grass flow up on. So here, basically I'll use my finger. Here I have the grass from the base flowing up, and I have some exposed parts of the grass mat. And it ties in fairly nicely. It does get a little matted on top here, but that doesn't really matter because that's all going to add to your transition elements. So, and I mean, it certainly is greeny and leafy and lush, and that's kind of what you're going for. So, I mean, you use a different mix than me. I use a lot of static grass in my mix because I like it to be spongy. I like when you put a tank down that it sinks in slightly. But you may not like that effect. You may want to do a little more flock mix, so it's going to be a little more flat. Everything's going to kind of sit up better. But I like to go with the lush sort of static grass. And like I said, it gets a little matty on here, but it fluffs up nicely. So that's just the effect I'm going for. But feel free, experiment. That's what I can, basically the best advice I give you, experiment. I never do the same mix twice because I don't like, not that I don't like the previous mix, I just like to make them different. Just to show you this one more time without covering the wall this time. Here you can see I went with a little more super turf, sort of tidy that up and sort of make it kind of more rough and not as groomed. Even here you would have very little travel. On the slopes you may have some tanks coming, obviously not with the rock wall there now, but in the other areas. And then here it's very steep coming down to the road. Obviously if the road's right here, that's going to be the path most traveled. But so you can just use your lichen, your super turf, just to break up the monotony of the ground. That's all you're going for, really. So to answer the question I had, grass mat goes down first after it's painted green. So paint green, then put grass mat down. Then take basically 100% glue, a little bit of water just to give it a little bit of fluidity, get into the small recesses. Paint it all, drop down your mix, whatever you're using. Like I said, mine's mainly static grass. Leave that dry. Don't tap it off right away or anything. Leave that down because that's going to be your mat. That's what you're really going to form your base with anyways. Let it dry. Come back in with your real soupy mix, soupy glue and water, and paste it right on. Flatten everything down, make your mat. Then you're going to start building up layers. After you have the glue, light sprinkle, tap tap right away. Put it back on, tap tap right away, tap tap. Do that 6, 7, 8 times, whatever you like, until you get the depth that you want. You can use a spray in between, whatever hairspray I use, because it kind of makes it fluff up, makes things sit on top of each other, and the tapping off will allow the static grass to stand up. Want to use a balloon to make it stand up even more, or a comb, whatever. Anything to create static electricity. If you have a Grassmaster, well, go ahead and use that. Any of that stuff, and it will make it stand up. And the more you make it stand up on the transition areas, the more it's going to blend into here. And when you have all the static grass down that you want, and you still have the lines, that's when you come with your shrubs, your lichens, all that stuff. At the top, where it's flat, just to show you, here's a pretty smooth transition. It's not bad. It doesn't need a lot of shrubs. At the top here, I left it a little bit higher. I didn't put as much static grass up here because, like I said, this is where I'm going to run my shrubs along the top. So if you know where you're going to put your shrubs before you start doing all this, that'll give you an indication where you can leave it a little bit more shallow. I also didn't put any super turf up here. I did it along the bottom and the top area here, but I'm going to put shrubs. Why waste it? So I'm just going to put shrubs here where I left the blank spot. So if you have a little forethought or a little bit of planning, that will really help you save materials, help you speed up the process, and it will just reduce the time you have between steps. So that is where I'm at right now. I basically have, if you were divided into 4 sides, one on each of the side of the bridge, and then split those in half, I have one whole side done. So I have one whole side of one side. So I basically have 3/4 left to go, but I did one of the biggest sections. So they should progress fairly quickly. If you have any more questions or you want something step along the way, I will certainly stop and make a video on that. But right now, basically the next time you see this, it will have at least static grass on everything, and then I'll sort of show you what I'm going to do with the rock wall, sort of tidying in the shrubs on that. And then it's going to be I may leave the bridge. I'll decorate the bridge last, and then you can kind of see what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to add a few trees here and there, and otherwise I will chat to you later. Cheers.